In the previous session, we have discussed a few of the different applications of the solar energy, water heating, space heating and cooling, active solar heating and passive solar heating, and even in the power generation also we have discussed. And we have left out with two more applications of the solar energy. One is desalination, or what we call it as a distillation, and the solar pond. Basically, this distillation is a process of filtering the water. Filtering the water, it means that if you take a sea water which will contains a lot of salt, dissolved salt will be there. Separating that salt from the water, that process what in general we call it as a distillation. The solar pond is also a similar wave, but the difference is in the solar pond we can generate the electrical energy as also, and this solar pond will also be used as a storage system. Now let us discuss about the distillation. Solar distillation is the use of solar energy to evaporate water and collect its condensate. Once it has been evaporated, what happens? The water particles will get evaporated and the dissolved salt, that is a solid, will settles down at the bottom. That is what we call it as a condensate within the some closed system. Unlike other forms of water purification, it can turn salt or brackish water into a fresh drinking water. So that is what we call it as a desalination. Desalination means removing the salt content from the water. That is what we call it as a desalination. And this desalination is also a process that we popularly use it in order to convert that sea water into a drinking water. Exactly. No, my dear friends, you know it. We cannot drink the sea water. It is only because it is very, we feel it is very rough and salty. It is only because so much of salt content will be dissolved in that. So that what we do it is we convert that into drinking water by the desalination process. Is that clear? Now what happens once this salt water is been heated or it is been subjected to a higher heat? What happens when it evaporates? Only the water content will be evaporated and it will be condensated and it will be collected later. This condensated will have only the water and salt particles will not be there because it is all a heavy particles which are in a solid state will get settled down at the bottom. Thus, this is a brief idea of converting a sea water into a drinking water. This solar water distillation is the process of using energy from the sun or the sunlight to separate fresh water from salts or other contaminants. So this is the idea behind of this distillation. The untreated water absorbs heat. The untreated water absorbs the heat, slowly reaching high temperatures. The heat causes the water to evaporate, cool, and condense into a vapor, leaving the contaminants behind. A solar still distills water with substances dissolved in it by using the heat of the sun to evaporate water so that it may be cooled and collected, thereby by purifying it. That I will show you with a sketch. It gives you a clear picture. Now here, once this is a saline water, or I mean to say you can take it as a sea water. Now there is a glass plate. Okay, now here is a glass plate which is intentionally made it as an inclination which is tilted. I'll let you know why it is so. Now at the bottom of this system, it has been painted with the black, or it's a blackened surface on which the salt water will be placed. As the solar radiations falls onto this, the solar radiations which falls onto this creates a heat. Heat will get entrapped because of the black surface. Further heat, it accelerates the heat generation. So what happens, this heat will makes the water to evaporate. While evaporating, only the water particles will be evaporated and rest of the contaminants or the dust or dirt particles or the dissolved salts will be left behind of it in the basin. So what happens, the water thus evaporated may go up to this. So in order to prevent that, what happens, this glass plate, the evaporated water particles, vapor will come and touches the surface. Once it comes and touches the surface, it will be condensed. It will be condensed into a small water droplets. And because the glass plate or a cover which has been inclined, so that what happens, the condensate or the water particles will start moving in this direction. At the end of this, there will be a trough will be placed in order to collect this condensate water particles, and it will be collected later on with a distillate. This distilled water will be free from contaminations and any dissolved salts. So this will be a healthy water for drinking purposes. Is it clear? As this keeps growing, so what happens at the end, what we will be left out with only contaminations and dissolved salts. It will be cleaned once again in the evening, and then in the morning we will fill it up with some certain amount of water, and the same process will be carries on. And the side walls will also be made up of with some uh, enclosures with an insulators usually. The pure water vapor condenses on the cool side surface and drips down where it is collected and removed. The advantage of such solar distillers are their design simplicity, low installation cost, independent water production, and simple maintenance. So there is not at all a huge maintenance, and no electricity is required and nothing. And it is a simple construction which tells you the simple or a minimum investment cost. But they also have a several disadvantages such as the low efficiency and deposition of salt, scale, and corrosion. So the major drawbacks is that because if you keep 100 liters of water, you cannot expect the complete 100 liters of water to get evaporate and condense and become a distillate. So what happens? This is a slow process. Efficiency is very less. Is it clear? So that is first point. Second point is what happens is, because as I just told you, as it keeps evaporating, at the end what happens, we will left out with the salt and scaling factors. The scaling factors, what happens, scaling is the one that is the salt content makes a white layer of hard coating, that is nothing but a scale, and it has to be removed. It is removing that is a very difficult task. Even in our conventional and domestic purposes, whatever the pipes that we use it, after 1 or 2 years, 3 years, what happens, because of the salt water, the bore water maybe, salt water, what happens, the scaling keeps increasing by layer by layer by layer. So that what happens, we will get the amount of water that we are getting it in pipes keeps reducing. The efficiency will be decreased by the reduction in the area. This reduction of in the area or diameter has been caused by the scaling. So the same factor will happens over here also. And all the 24 bar 7, since it will be exposed to the water, so there are more chances of corrosion to occur. Here are the major drawbacks of this distillation or the desalination plant. Next one is an important one. It's a well-known, a solar pond. Basically, pond means a collection of water. That's it. What do you mean by the solar pond? A solar pond works on a very simple principle. It is well known that water or air is heated, they become lighter and rise upwards. This is a common sense I have been telling you since from the first class. Whether you take a liquid or you take a gas, once you heat it, once you heat them, or once they get heated up, they become lighter in weight because of lower density, so that they will have always have a higher tendency to move upwards. The heavier the cold water or the cold air will be heavier because of its lower temperature and because of its heavier density. And this density and temperature are relatively keeps decreasing as we keeps heating it up. That is the reason why, my dear friends, you might have seen AC air conditioning systems are always placed of certain height. It is only, you just imagine if the air conditioners are being placed at the bottom of your room, what happens? Only the bottom air will be cooled. What about the air which is above that? It is not possible, because what happens? The air will get settles down itself. Now what happens if you keep the AC at the higher heights? The hot air will be cooled and it is being pushed downwards. So this will happen. That is the reason why we always see the air conditioning systems at certain height of the room. Okay. Now similarly, in an ordinary pond, the sun's rays heat the water, and the heated water from within the pond rises and reaches the top but loses the heat into the atmosphere. The solar pond is a solar energy collector, generally fairly large in size, that looks like a pond. That is the reason why they call it as a pond. It is something like a big one. The area will be big one, not like our distillation system. It is a big one which appears to be like a natural pond. So it is called as a solar pond. So the a solar pond, this type of solar energy collectors uses a large salty lake as a kind of flat plate collector that absorbs and stores energy from the sun in the warm lower layers of the pond. Nowadays, solar ponds are used in variety of applications such as thermal applications, desalination applications, salt extraction, and power generation. So, for so many purposes, the solar ponds are used. Okay, solar radiation collected in the solar pond is converted into thermal energy that is stored in the brine or raises its temperature. Utilization of the heat is possible by extracting the heat from the hot brine of a storage zone. A hot brine or a hot salt water, that is what the storage zone, for direct use of heat or further converting it into electrical energy. Now let me tell you with, I mean, with the figure over here. Now what happens here? You have a solar pond like this. No, don't imagine the pond will be like this in like a buckets. No, it is not. It is a huge area. It will be in a larger area. Now here you just see the solar radiations which are falling onto this solar pond, where it constitutes of three different zones. One is the lower convective zone, hot lower convective zone, which is 25% heat is being stored over here because of the brine solution. Okay, gradient zone, non-convective zone. This is a 22% of heat that is being lost. And then the cold upper convective zone. So where the heat loss will be of 20%. So this is a loss in the upper two zones. There is a loss of heat by 22% and 20% respectively. Whereas at the bottommost portion we have a hot lower convective zone where the heat is being stored around 25%, and there may be a loss of heat to the ground maybe for 5%. Is it clear? So this is convective, upper convective, gradient zone, non-convective zone. Where this convective zone, first of all, what do you mean by convection? I just will tell you quickly. Convective is one of the mode of heat transfer. Say for example, if you have a solid, if you are heating at one end, we will receive the heat at the other end. No, the heat is transferring in the solid. So this is what we call it as a conduction. So that is called as a conduction. Suppose you have a hot water. No need to touch the hot water. If you take your hands above the hot water, you feel the heat. How do you feel the heat? The heat is transmitted by liquid to the gas, and then liquid, that is liquid water, to the steam, the gaseous water, and then it is to your hand. So your hand is a solid. So the convection is a mode of heat transfer in which the heat exchanges between liquid to the gas, or gas to the gas, or gas to the liquid, or from solid to the liquid or a fluid. That is what we call it as a convection. Now this upper zone, which is a convective zone. Convective zone means the heat is being lost. It is convecting the heat. The air which is above this zone will get this heat and it just moves out. This is what happens actually. Okay, the bottommost portion, that is the lower convective zone, is the one, LCZ. LCZ is the one where what happens here, the heat will not be convected to the upper layers. So it just keeps rotating there itself. This is what even you can see it in the pool boiling curve. Pool boiling means when we heat the water, what happens? There will be a water bubbles which will be formed initially on the surface of the uh, our vessel. So what happens? It starts boiling. The bottommost portion will be get heated up, and it will be not convecting the heat to the upper zones. Is that clear? So this is what we call it as a a non-convective or a lower convective zones. Is it clear? We cannot say it doesn't convect the heat, but a lower convective. Is it clear? So this is what happens. This is the purpose. So what we do it is, if you want to use the same solar pond for generation of electricity, so what we do it is, we will use certain low boiling, low melting fluid to connect it to the turbines, whereas this temperature difference between the upper convective zone and the lower convective zone, how we just use it for a ocean thermal energy conversion system. Similarly, they use it over here, because the upper cold water will be of maintained around maybe 15 to 20 degrees centigrade, whereas the lower convective zone will have a temperature of 5 degrees. I'm sorry, of a higher temperature, much than that, maybe around 30 degrees centigrade. This 30 degrees centigrade and 15 degrees centigrade, this temperature difference is being used to boil a refrigerant, and thus a refrigerant or a low boiling fluid, which makes the turbine blades to rotate and generate electrical energy. That is how also they will use it, and this is also used in order to remove the salt, or it may be also used to desalinate, and it is also being used as a source of thermal heat storage. These are the few applications of solar energy systems, that is the solar water heaters, solar air heaters, solar space heating, that is in the active heating and the passive heating, then the solar power generation, and then solar distillation, and then solar pond. These are all the 5 or 6 different types of applications of solar energy that we have discussed. There are a few numericals. Let me concentrate. In this module, uh, we have come across with many equations. Hope you remember. Let us first take one example. Calculate the angle made by a beam radiation. Beam is one which doesn't get scattered, with the normal to a flat plate collector on May 1st at 9 hours, that is morning 9 a.m. local apparent time, LAT. The collector is located in New Delhi, which is of 28 degrees and 35 minutes north and 77 degrees and 12 minutes east. It is tilted at an angle of 36 degrees with the horizontal and is pointed due south. Repeat the calculation for 12 hours, that is afternoon 12 o'clock. Is okay. Local apparent time. Now, for this case, y is equal to 0 degrees, and the equation 3.5.5, there is some equations I'm just mentioning it here, no need to refer this. Cos theta is equal to sine delta, declination angle is a delta, and sine of phi minus beta. Beta is an inclination angle and phi is a zenith angle, and then cos delta into cos omega into cos phi minus beta is applicable. On May 1st, n is equal to 121. May 1st means n number of days. January 1st is, I just told you repeatedly, when we take January 1st, the n number is equal to 1. If you take January 2, the n is equal to 2. If you take January 30, the n is equal to 30. So when you take May 1st, if you count from January 1st, it is n is equal to 121. Is it clear? Now from the equation, we have a delta is equal to 23.545 into sine of 360 divided by 365 into 284 plus n. So this is what n. From that I will get this declination angle, which is equal to 14.90. At 9 hours what happens? Local apparent time, omega is equal to inclination angle, omega is equal to 45 degrees. Substituting these angles in the above equation, so what we get is cos theta is equal to sine of 14.90 into sine of 28.58 minus 36. 36 is an inclination angle. Okay, next plus cos of 14.90 into cos 45 and the cos of 28 minus 58 minus 36, which leads to 0.644. So if you take a cos inverse, then we get theta is equal to 48.90 is the degrees of the angle. Is that clear? Further, the angle theta can also be calculated using 3.5. The other way of this cos theta, that is the first This way also we can calculate, or the other method is this cos theta is equal to cos theta 2 into cos beta and sin theta 2 into sin beta cos of gamma 2 minus gamma in conjunction with the 3.5.4, the similar equations. If you see here, we don't know this cos theta 2, so what I'll do it is, for finding out this cos theta 2, I will take this expression and I will get it as 0.7231. So the theta becomes 43.692. So from this equation, cos of y1 is equal to cos 43.69 into sine of 28 minus 0.58. We should have put a bracket over here, in minus sine of 14.90 divided by sine of so and so. We will get y1 is equal to 81.58. Substituting it, we will get it as theta is equal to 48.9. Here also you can see the theta angle is 48.9. So by these two methods we can find the answer remains to be same. In both the cases we get 48.90 as the theta. Is it clear? Now about the B, at 12 hours, same thing I will repeat. At 12 hours what happens? Local apparent time omega becomes 0 because it is of 90 degrees. So omega is equal to 0 degrees. Proceeding in the same manner as in a part A. Same thing, cos theta is equal to, in the same equation I just I'll substitute all the same thing. Instead of 45 I will substitute 0, that's it. Instead of 45 I will substitute 0, so that what happens, I will get theta is equal to 22.3 degrees. Alternatively, which shows the cross section through the local meridian, since alpha is equal to 0 and y is equal to 0, omega is equal to 0 and y is equal to 0, all the other angles involved in that. Now we can stop it here itself, but still we can find out in the other method also. I am not given here, just I'll introduce it. Inclined at an angle of 10 degrees and facing due to south, y is equal to 0 degrees. The surface is located in Mumbai, 19 degrees 7 minutes north and 72 degrees 51 minutes east on June 21st. Delta is equal to 23.45. So this is the sum procedure, which is an external. Actually the problem ends over here itself with theta is equal to 22.3. That's it. This is an alternative one which is not required actually. If you take a simple problem, let us take the simple problem. Determine the local apparent time corresponding to 14:30, that is afternoon 2:30 p.m. IST at Mumbai, 19 degrees and 7 minutes, 72 degrees 51 minutes east, and July 1st. In India, standard time is based on so and so. Local apparent time is being given by this expression actually. E is equal to 14.30 hours into 4 into so on. So by substituting it, we will get it as local apparent time as 1348, that is 148 hours PM. It is as simple as that. So more example, let me quickly go with that. Estimate the monthly average daily global radiation on a horizontal surface at Vadodara at 22 degrees 0 minutes north and 73 degrees 10 minutes east during the month of March. Its average sunshine hours per day is 9.5. So let us assume this A and B. This table I have provided here in the end of the slide actually. This table you need to remember, or you have to take the Xerox and you have to carry it to the examination. So what happens here? From the table, we will take the constants A is equal to 0.28 and B is equal to 0.48 obtained from this. For the Ahmedabad, the table it is been provided. This is a good assumption since the two cities are fairly close. Okay, based on some recommendations, we will take this delta inclination angle as is equal to 23.45 into sine of 360 divided by 30, 284 plus 75. N is equal to 75 because he has given it as the March. The month of March, let us consider it as March 16. Okay, so at this we will get it as minus 2.42 degrees. Similarly, one more examples are there. You can go through it. Let me do this. This is one, okay. Use of the prediction equations to calculate the monthly average, hourly global and hourly diffuse radiation during the month of April on a horizontal surface at New Delhi, 28 degrees 35 minutes north and 77 degrees 12 minutes east, elevation of 216 meters, time of 9 to 10 hours, local apparent time. The average number of sunshine hours per day is 8.6. Compare the predicted values with the available value. So the actually daily radiations delta or declination, you can find it out as usual for the April 15 n is equal to 105. You will find out this. In order to compare this, let us find out first omega 1, which is equal to cos inverse of minus tan of phi into tan delta, which gives us omega is equal to 95.18 degrees. Converting this degrees into radians, it is there in our calculators. It is there in your calculators. You can convert this 95.18 degrees into radians. Okay, so that S max will be equal to 2 divided by 15 into 95.18, which is equal to 12.69 hours. Now this is a table 3.5, the global radiations. In the first row, they have given it as in terms of times and global radiation and diffuse radiation. They have given it. The following hourly values are measured around midday on a clear day at Nagpur. So and so north and east. He has given it, and he has given date as June 20, 1968. We can find out on June 20, 1968, that is minus 171 from equation for the declination. We get the delta as 3.44. Therefore, cos theta can be found out by this equation. So sin phi into sin delta and cos phi into cos delta into cos omega, which yields us as which yields us to 0.1432 plus 0.8560 cos omega. From the table 3.5, the values of A, B, C can be obtained. There are the few numericals which are related to this expressions that we have discussed in the second one.